Podcast Studios. This is After 9 with Scott and Kat.
Hey now.
Hello, friends. Welcome to it. Boy, we got a lot of ground to cover in this episode.
We certainly do. We've got a guest coming up later on in the pod. And can you explain to everybody why we're doing this particular guest?
Okay, so on the podcast, off and on, we talk about health and wellness, as you and I, by the way, are not aging backwards, which is some bullshit if you ask me, but here we are. So you and I often talk about healthy foods and healthy choices. So I started seeing a nutritionist. Is that how we put it?
Seeing a nutritionist? Like it's some covert thing in the middle of the night?
It sounds like it's like I'm in therapy. I've started seeing a nutritionist. But I did, and I just think she's fantastic. I think she has a lot of insight, great insight. She's a holistic nutritionist, and she is a top metabolic balance coach. What that means? Well, we're going to talk to her about that coming up.
Love it. It is the day after. Last night was the highly anticipated presidential debate between former President Donald J. Trump and current Vice President Kamala Harris. First instinct after watching the debate, what did you think of it, Kat?
I was so entertained. Like, I honestly thought that I was going to turn on the debate because I knew I was going to watch the beginning at least. I thought, you know what, I'll just watch from like 9 to 9:05. The time flew, by the way. I looked because they had no commercial break for the first, 45 minutes or something. I was watching so intently because it was so entertaining to me. I have a lot of takeaways from it, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know if you want my overalls now, or maybe we can play some clips from it.
Yeah, let's do some audio.
Sure.
We'll start off with you pick. I mean, I watched the whole debate start to finish. I'm thinking clip 4 is a good one to start with. That one made me laugh.
Sure thing.
Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, great. And that was right kind of off the hop. And at the beginning, I thought, okay, fine. I hated one thing about Donald Trump that pissed me off more than anything that came out of his mouth.
What was it?
That he made zero eye contact with the person that he was debating. He refused to look at Kamala Harris. And I think that is so disrespectful, regardless of how you feel about yourself and your own ego. It's extremely disrespectful, especially during a debate, considering her whole body language was geared toward him. Sure, she doesn't like him, but she was still taking the time to turn her body and physically say, okay, we're in a conversation. But he definitely wanted nothing to do with that. And right off the hop, I thought, what the fuck, man? So I didn't like that at all. I think no matter what, like I said, that's totally disrespectful.
I got a couple different vibes out of that. To me, what it came down to was rehearsing is important, and we heard a lot. Kamala Harris, she hunkered down for days, didn't do any campaign events because she was paranoid about the debate. She wanted to make sure that she practiced and had all her lines down, and she did a very good job. She was very well prepared for last night. Trump, on the other hand, he was doing rallies right up until the day before the debate, and he didn't seem as well prepared for it. Kamala had lines ready to go.
How does that have to do with him looking her in the eye, though, when she's talking?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. So when you're debating, it's kind of counterintuitive because you're set up to talk to each other. But you're also supposed to look into the camera to make your point. So the way the debate stage was set up, I think Trump took it a little too literally when they said look into the camera. You look into the camera when you're making your point, but you should address your opponent when you're not making that point.
There was minutes on end when you didn't even look at her when she was talking and directing speech at him. Anyway, I just think that's disrespectful. I don't care who you are. Don't care who you are. This is probably the most viral clip from last night's debate, friends. You know that we're going to play it for you.
A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
Oh, goodness.
Did you hear any of these stories that are coming out of like Ohio and places like that? Where that comes from? Because I think there's some people who haven't heard the actual news out of America. They just heard Trump say that last night or a podcast like this play the clip, and they're thinking, wow, he's crazy. So the story goes that in certain towns where migrants have built up, there's almost more migrants than people who live in the city, They have been accused.
By the way, Canada's not too far off in some parts, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, we're right there too.
Yeah.
So there's been some people, it started off with they were killing like ducks and stuff like that because they were hungry and they wanted to eat. And I certainly don't begrudge someone food. And if they can't get it from traditional sources and maybe food banks and such are not an option, then that's what some people turn to. They would kill like geese and stuff like that in parks. That has now evolved, and some people are claiming now their pets have gone missing and so on and so forth. Are migrants eating people's pets? That's a story that's out there, but I personally haven't independently verified that. But that is where that came from, and I'm sure that people are going to fixate on that. Back to the debate for a second. One thing that I really wanted out of last night and I didn't get, any policy.
From any of them.
Neither of them.
Right?
It was a lot of mischaracterizing, and they both did it. Trump knowingly mischaracterized some of Kamala Harris's positions, and Kamala Harris knowingly mischaracterized some of Donald Trump's positions. I think the one where it's the most obvious is when it comes to the debate over right to life and abortion rights and so on and so forth. Do you happen to have that clip there? I'd love to play a little bit of that exchange.
Yeah, there's a few on abortion. So we can let's start here.
Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before. He said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine.
Okay, so then we should probably go on to her response.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's
as
hear
I
her
said, you're going
response.
to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body.
Okay, we'll stop it there. But obviously, you guys can look into more. If you didn't watch the debate,
Yeah.
we urge you to get full context on everything if there's something in there that you're curious about.
And that was one of the misleading things. I mean, Kamala knows that. What the Supreme Court did in undoing Roe v. Wade is exactly what Republicans and Democrats for years have been saying they wanted. They wanted it done at the state level, not a national law. And I'm sure you know from having lived here in Canada for as long as you have, we have very differing opinions across this country. The values that people in Ontario have are vastly different from some of the values that people in Alberta might have. The people in Alberta, vastly different from Quebec. Quebec different from Nova Scotia. We're a very regional country, and so is America. So the thought was there's some states who are very pro-life, and there's some states who are very pro-choice. Mm-hmm. And the thought was, rather than a blanket, we approve of abortion or we disapprove of abortion, We're going to bring it down to the state level so that the laws are more reflective of the people who live in the various regions of the country. Everybody agreed that that was the best way to go. For Kamala to say the Donald Trump ban, it's only a ban in certain states, and that's what that state chose to do. So, I mean, it's misleading at best, but I get it. It's politics, and they're going to try and make each other look bad. Listen, Trump did the same thing to Harris. He mischaracterized a few of her policies, too. At the end of the day, I really just want to know, and I did not get an answer to this last night. What are you doing about the economy? What are you doing about the border? And Kamala Harris was in a tricky spot coming into last night because Joe Biden's record was her record. She has to live with that. She was the vice president. She was also the president of the Senate.
Yeah.
She signed off on all this shit that Biden wanted done.
So do you throw your boss under the bus in that case? Or do you act like maybe you had thoughts on it, but you didn't speak up, but then that makes you look weak? It's totally true. She's in a weird spot.
You know, and I mean, she was disingenuous too. I mean, she had an opportunity last night to double down on some of her opinions. She believes in open borders. She thinks anybody should be able to not just come to America, but also have the right to vote in America, even if they're not a citizen, even if they're there illegally. She believes that. And it's not just her. That's a Democrat policy. When Donald Trump was elected the first time, he was elected because he promised to build the wall. He promised to build the wall because under the Obama administration, so many migrants were coming into America. And then when Joe Biden got elected, he tore the wall down. Now Kamala Harris, who was part of the Biden regime, has an opportunity to come out and say, no, we're going to close the border. We're going to seal the border. Nobody's getting in unless they're properly checked and they have a reason to be here and they go through the proper process. She had an opportunity to say that and didn't. Donald Trump had an opportunity last night to double down and say exactly how he feels about, well, actually, he did say that about abortion, so I'm not going to use that example. Trump's got a lot of weird things going on there. And he had an opportunity to clear up his policies. You say you could end the war between Russia and Ukraine on your first day. How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? You think that the Israeli-Hamas conflict will be over instantly as soon as you get elected. And I think he's saying it's because he's powerful and he's just going to threaten to bomb the shit out of anybody who tries to get in the way. Just say that that's what you're going to do. Do you intend to send the military into action? Say what you're going to do. People have a right to know what the plan is. And I just feel like last night was really just cover up your own agenda and try and smear mud on the other person. And nobody actually came out and said what they want to do. We got the same problem here.
Oh, we absolutely do. And when it comes to advertising for politicians here in Canada, same thing goes. I mean, it does nothing for me to hear the ads that run right now, that are running currently right now, against somebody. Tell me what you want in general, or that let that politician speak for themselves on what they're going to change. It does nothing for me for you to say, this person sucks, and this person did this, and this person did that. I want to hear, you know what, if I come in, here's what I'm going to do. Here's the policy that I want to come up with. Here's the game plan. Make it nice and cool, calm, cool, and collected. And I think that the response will be much better than when you come in hot like that.
I think they're trying to reflect the anger, and there's anger on both sides. And I think that if you can amplify it and project it, you're good. Kamala Harris last night kept accusing Donald Trump of dividing. I know that that's something that Justin Trudeau accuses Pierre Poilievre of doing, is dividing. It's not really divisiveness if people are angry at the current policy. You're allowed to point out as the opposition what people are angry about because that's how we zero in on this stuff. It wasn't a good debate. Kamala Harris did much better than she expected. I don't think she won. I know some people want to say she did.
A lot of people are saying she did. But of course, like we said yesterday, I don't think anybody who's like a hardcore Donald Trump fan was necessarily swayed, but I don't think it helped in any of his favor. More so than I don't think anyone swayed from Kamala.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't think that anybody really changed their vote based on last night.
Yeah.
Somebody should come out and say what they're going to do about the border. What are you going to do about the economy? It's like the worst kept secret. And it's not happening in the mainstream media, but in underground circles, when people meet and talk, everybody knows that the plan for Donald Trump is when he gets in, if he gets in, he is going to switch America off of the central bank system that has screwed so many people over the years, and he's going to move them back to a gold-backed currency. That'll have major implications on not just the American, but on the global economy. It's probably what needs to be done. It should have never switched off of the current system or it should have never switched off of a gold-backed currency in the first place. He's going to put it back. Why isn't he talking about that? If that truly is your plan, why don't you just come out and say, we're going to go to a gold-backed currency? That means that the current system is worthless, and, well, it'll mean a lot of things if the current system is deemed to be worthless and they go to a gold-backed currency. It needs to happen. Trump, I think, is going to do it, but there was nothing about substantial issues like that last night. They get caught up in the abortion thing. Fine, I guess, but Kamala Harris, if she wanted to restore Roe v. Wade, she's the vice president. She's got the president's ear. She could do that. I don't know why she isn't doing that. It just seemed very dishonest. It was not genuine. Nothing really got discussed. I was kind of disappointed last night when I went to bed.
A lot of good sound bites, though, I will say. A lot of good sound bites.
Great sound bites, you know?
Great.
We have to move on from the debate
things.
because we have that call coming up in a few minutes. And I do want to make some time here to talk about the big entertainment story that happened yesterday. Usually during TIFF, it's a TIFF-related story. Super Bowl halftime show announced this week, and people are still talking about that. But yesterday, one story that nobody had on their bingo card came out of nowhere, and everybody's talking about it.
And as we talked about the first subject, I wondered about this one. Did he purposely do it yesterday when he knew the United States of America especially would be busy?
He no
looking
doubt
at the debate, you know?
For those who don't know, there are PR companies out there that specialize in crisis communications. If you've got a sex scandal, if you've got a whatever happening, you call one of these companies and they manage the media for you to manipulate the message to the best they can in your favor. So it absolutely would have been a PR company that told Dave Grohl, you're going to do this and you're going to disable comments and you're going to do it just a few hours before the debate because everyone will forget by tomorrow.
And I think Dave Grohl is a household name. I think most people know Dave Grohl, lead singer of the Foo Fighters, right? Mm-hmm. I think most people know this. So he announced yesterday he fathered a child outside his marriage, aka he cheated on his wife. He got someone pregnant. He said he plans to be a loving and supportive parent. It's a daughter, for those who wonder. Of course, he's not giving any more personal info when it comes to that. But he says he's working to regain the trust and forgiveness of his wife and their kids. He has 3 kids with his wife of 20 years, by the way, who range in age. I think it's from like 10 to all the way up to, is it like 20 or something along those lines?
They're older, yeah.
I love my wife and my children is a part of the statement. He says, I am doing everything I can to regain their trust and earn their forgiveness. And he didn't allow comments on the post. We don't know about the woman that he impregnated. If you're curious, obviously a Foo Fighters fan. A lot of questions, though, coming from this. And I saw a lot of people feeling bad, going, leave him alone. You know, like,
really?
Yes.
Oh.
Leave him alone and this and that. Listen, he's a public figure. He has publicly come out and talked about what an awesome family he has and what a family man that he's been. If you look back on interviews and how much he loves his wife, when you put all that shit out there into the universe and you're a celebrity and you're making money, don't be upset when shit comes right back at you in the opposite way and people look at you differently.
Well, he put this out there, so he knew that there was an interest in this. He put it out there, so it's fair game to discuss.
I think for those who are wondering, why would you do that and embarrass your wife? That was another comment I saw. I think he had no choice. I have every reason to believe that the woman that he impregnated was probably going to come forward and say something. It could have been one of those situations. I don't want to say blackmail, but it could have been one of those, if you don't tell people, I'm going right to TMZ or whatever, right? It could have been one of those. Or he decided it's going to leak or get out there anyway. I got to get on top of it. Maybe another theory I heard was it was an ultimatum from his wife.
I believe that.
Who said, when she found out, she said, you're putting the statement out. You're talking about how you effed up and you're going to hopefully win back your family. So we don't know how it works. His daughter, his oldest daughter just deactivated her social media. Like, I really feel bad for the family when it comes to this stuff, especially when you're, that's your dad and that's your personal life and it's out there for everyone to see. And you didn't choose for that to be the case. And you didn't want your dad to go poking around where he shouldn't have been. He's 55, by the way, and not fixed, we learned. So, I don't,
using a rubber.
Or using a rubber. Or it was the old trick that Drake said that he was through.
Oh.
We don't really know.
I don't know, yeah.
I don't know if that works or not. Listen, I'm not a doctor, but I do know that he cheated. And I'm sure it wasn't the first time. And I'm sure that they're having those conversations. And by all means, that's between he and his wife. But it really isn't at the same time, right? It's now it's 2 families involved. Now you got 2 families essentially involved.
So he's not the only one to ever go through this.
Sure.
People cheat all the time. And that is what it is. In this case, a child came from that. And whether you're Dave Grohl or just Bob who lives down the street, people are in this situation where you've had an affair, it led to a pregnancy, and then you have kids with one woman and kids with your wife. And I don't know how you square that circle with your wife, with the woman you got pregnant, the mother of your new kids. And I don't know how you can integrate those two families together.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure how that works.
Yeah.
I would love, out of this shit situation, for a little positive to come out of it. And he shows, hey, here's how you can make a blended family work. Nick Cannon is in a similar position too. He's got like 8 different baby mamas and 10 different kids or something like that. Slightly different because they weren't the result of an affair necessarily.
Yeah.
But either way, you got to blend those families together. In this case, yeah, he fathered a kid when he already had 3 kids with his current wife, and him and his wife are currently together. That's a weird one, and I don't know how you make that family situation work, or if you should even try. Should you intentionally keep them secret or separate? Should Dave Grohl be doing every other weekend he goes and visits his one baby, and during the week he's with his regular kids?
No, I think you're thinking positively, and good for you. I think that this is the end for one of several things. There's no way you look at your husband of 20 plus years with 3 children that just obviously had sex probably multiple times, but we know at least one time, unprotected or what have you, uncarefully, with whoever this is. Now, does she know who the woman is? I assume at this point she does. I don't see a way around it. But hey, everyone's different. Some people are really easy to forgive, or maybe not easy, but with therapy, they're happy to forgive. Good for you. I'd never be able to stop thinking about what that man did to not just me, but my family, and how everyone will look at him differently and look at me differently because of it. It's really hard to forgive in this case. So by all means, if his wife can do it, good for them, but it's going to be the beginning of the end of something. Do you know what I mean? You're going to lose fans. Unfortunate. Some people do take that stuff personally and will be like, I'm not a Foo Fighters fan. I didn't see a ton of that yesterday, which is good because I think like we can separate all that. However, I'm not one of those people. However, I don't, if his marriage lasts, it's the baby, right? It's not even the cheating. It's the baby. It's a whole life that just got born. This is an 18-year situation, minimum, obviously for the rest of his life. But this is an 18-year situation that they have to deal with financially, and that's as a couple. Good luck to him. Holy shit. Is all I could say about that.
It's a lot to wrap your mind around, but you've got to deal with the situation that you're in. And in this case, he's got to decide. I mean, I don't think he's going to minimize the time that he spends with his current family, but he now has to make time for, I don't know if there's any relationship at all still with the baby mama, but he certainly does have a daughter with that woman, and that daughter deserves a dad and his attention and his resources and such. And that's all well and good. I'd like to know what the situation was between Dave and his wife. There are some people, and I'm not saying that that's what happened here, but there are some, particularly in the entertainment industry, where you're on the road a lot, you travel a lot, and whether it's a formal understanding or it's just you know what goes on the road, and that's just the way it is, and this was a whoops. I don't know what the situation was, how they respond to it now. They actually have an opportunity to sort of set the standard, to pave the way for other people that are in this situation. I feel real bad for the kids. I feel bad for his wife. I feel bad for the other woman, and I feel bad for his new daughter. I don't know if that daughter will ever have a relationship with his other 3 daughters. I mean, how do you even broach that subject? Hey, honey, sorry I got somebody else pregnant. I've got family obligations over there now, too. What do you think of my other kid coming to see our kids? That's a weird one to even bring up.
Weird. Yeah, all the best to them. But now all their dirty laundry is aired, and this is the way it goes.
Do I have time to do the autism story?
Let's do that after.
After? Okay.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about autism on this episode, and we will. But first off, let's do this call.
Hello.
Jen.
Hi.
Hi, Jen. It is Kat here, and I also have Scott Fox with me.
Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hi. Hi, Scott. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. I understand we're going to learn a few things about our internal organs and how we can make ourselves a little more healthy here.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to do this episode with you two.
I am so glad that you could take the time, Jen. Thank you so much. So a little backstory. Jen Vasey is a registered holistic nutritionist, top metabolic balance coach. You know how I met her, Scott?
How?
Our mutual friend, Angie Hill.
Oh.
So Angie Hill told me about how great she's been feeling lately and everything else. And at the time I was like, yeah, I could go for feeling better. And she told me, you got to talk to Jen Vasey. Like, she's the best. So Jen just launched a new 12-week transformation program. But I think we're going to start from the beginning, Jen. What is metabolic balance? Let's start with that. What is it that you specialize in? What is that all about?
Yeah, so Metabolic Balance is a whole food, so it's a holistic health company. It specifically focuses on your health as a whole. So what happens is the most important part is that it's personalized, custom nutrition. We have to take a look at your blood work. So you do a full panel of labs. We look at any imbalances, deficiencies, hormones, inflammatory marker, blood sugars. There's so many things that we're going to look at that make you who you are and make you unique. And that's why your nutrition needs to be unique as well. So we look at your biochemistry, and then each result is paired with the correlated food to get all of your levels in optimal, not normal. We want you in optimal balance. And so Metabolic Balance was founded in Germany. There was the doctor, his name's Dr. Will Funfack, several years ago. He founded the program mostly to help those in his clinic with metabolic syndrome. So he was helping people reverse their type 2 diabetes, getting people off of blood pressure medication, supporting cholesterol, obesity. And so fast forward, a lot of people focus on the plan to support their weight loss, but weight loss is a byproduct because we're supporting your health. So it's anti-inflammatory. We support stable blood sugars, hormonal balance by focusing on the master hormone, which is insulin. And then as a result, you achieve a healthy, optimal, sustainable body weight.
So let me see if I understand this. Someone might come to you, whether they've got a specific thing in their system that's bugging them or just generally feeling off. And you'll send them to get some blood done, and you'll look at those blood results and say, hey, if we do this, this, and that, like change your diet to this or supplements that, then we can actually get you back to perfect optimum condition. And you can do that without pharmaceutical drugs.
That is exactly it. So we do a full in-depth panel of your labs, and then we do a full medical history. So we're going to discuss, are you taking any medications? What are your symptoms? What are you struggling with? What are your health goals? What are you looking to accomplish? And then we make a big profile that we send to our medical team of doctors. They are in Germany, and the medical team of doctors in Germany are the ones who will put together your very specific plan. It is all whole food, so there's no proprietary like shakes or pills or anything, injections, nothing. It's nothing along those lines. We literally just teach you how to eat the right foods in the right ratios to support optimal balance. And for so many people, especially people who are sitting there going, I don't understand. Like, I eat healthy, I eat well. I don't understand why I'm struggling with these symptoms or struggling with weight. They do phenomenally well because it's just these small tweaks in the day. And I know, Kat, you can attest to it. It's really balanced, delicious, enjoyable meals. It's just the right foods at the right times and the right ratios. And that's what makes that's what conducts the change.
And I told Jen this, I think my first or second weekend, I thought, I don't understand how this is working so well because I'm eating a lot of food and I'm eating often. And there were so many game-changing moments for me when I got my panel sent in. So I got my food list sent back. So essentially those are the foods, your first list, which will be phase 2, which we can get more into detail with on another podcast, Jen, because I might have to bring you in for more of this because I find it so interesting. My food list came back and I thought, okay, so these are the main foods that I should be eating. And on that, I thought, there's no way I can eat that much of this in one meal. And I was doing it. And I mean, I'll cut right to it, friends. I lost 15 pounds over the summer. Those were the summer months where I certainly did treat myself. And this program is not restrictive at all. It allows for those treats once you get past the first couple of weeks. And I love it. I think it's the most, it's the balance is in the word. So for me to say it's the most well-balanced thing I've ever seen and heard of and been through ever, it really is the case. I was wowed with it. So I found the whole thing really interesting is that they could find out by your blood work what's best for you. So
let me ask you, if your blood work came back and you got this report, in theory, could it be something as simple as, you know what, if you ate an extra cup of cauliflower and a couple extra figs of broccoli every couple of weeks, this could change or improve in some way, like using the diet to control your body?
So it's definitely more detailed than that. So what happens is we use 36 lab values, and the response or the value with each of those is correlated to specific foods to help get them in optimal balance. And so this is why no two nutrition plans are the same, ever. The only way two nutrition plans would be the same is if two people have exactly the same lab markers, which never happens when you're doing 36 values. So it is tailored, customized, personal nutrition, because we know the one size fits all, it doesn't work. It may work short term, but for long-term sustainability, that's what a lot of people struggle with. And so the other thing that people really like about the plan is it tells you exactly what to eat, the foods that are going to best support you. Because so many people are being told, well, you know what, just cut out dairy. Okay, great, I'll do that. Nope, no change. Okay, well, then you need to cut out gluten. Okay, yep, then I need to cut out this. And so they're doing the process of elimination and trying to learn. This takes all of the guesswork. It's not what to do, it's what not to do, it's exactly what to do. And so once you're given the plan, it's like, let's just follow this plan. Eat these foods, and like Kat said, for the first couple of weeks, we eat only the foods on your list. You watch those changes happen, you feel those changes happen, but then we do gradually introduce more foods. I am a huge advocate of balance. I think it's so important to know that you can have date night or go on vacation and enjoy yourself, because A, your metabolism is working for you, B, you're equipped with the tools of what to do. You know that, okay, even if I'm veering a little bit off balance to enjoy myself, I feel so good on plan, and I'm just going to get right back to it.
I love stuff like this. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you actually sell the food, or do you just give somebody the food and they go to the grocery store and shop for themselves? I'm wondering how you make money here.
Yeah, no. So how it works is everything is incorporated into a plan. So what I love about Metabolic Balance as a company is they don't have anything for reoccurring revenue. That's not what it's about. So many models out there that you have to subscribe to their products and you need to be on their supplements. But literally, we pay for the blood work, we pay for the doctors to put together your plan, like just the costs that are associated with it. And then there's never a cost again. And so everything that you need to follow your plan is at your local grocery store. It is all just real whole food. So it's not, you're not required to have, only access specialty stores or order things online. It's very simple. And I will say most people that I work with are really, really busy. I work with a lot of moms, and they have kids and they have work and life is busy. They just need simple. Go to the grocery store, get what I need, put my meals together, carry on with my day.
I know this is your interview, Kat, and I'm totally
I know.
hijacking
Scott's,
it. I'm
I
sorry.
told you, Jen.
So
Scott wanted to talk to you
because
because we talk about health and nutrition, and we have for many, many years. And so when I told him about this program and how it's tailored to each person, he's like, hang on a second, what? So go ahead, ask Jen more questions. She knows what she's talking about.
Okay, so really what I want to know is, you mentioned a word that I thought was interesting. You get the blood work back, and then you send it over to the doctors in Germany. One thing I know about the doctors here in Ontario is doctors don't often refer people like you that don't prescribe pharmaceuticals that want to go with a more of a natural cure for whatever it is that's ailing them. Why don't doctors send people to people like you and consider what you do a bona fide part of our healthcare system?
Great question.
Oh, good gosh. We could do a whole episode on this for sure, because you're absolutely right. In Western medicine, and we know there is a place for it, but their education is the acute diagnosis and the corresponding pharmaceutical treatment. You never walk into your doctor's office and have a full discussion around what you're eating. It very, very rarely does that ever happen. But what does happen is I have clients come to me and they're like, oh my goodness, I just saw my doctor and he put me on cholesterol medication or blood pressure or my health markers or this, that, or the other. We put them on plan. They do a follow-up with their doctor within a few months, and the doctors are genuinely blown away. I've had several conversations with doctors who have called me, then learning more about the plan because they've seen the markers, the health markers in their patients move at a really rapid pace. And so there are doctors out there that are becoming more aware and more in tune with this, how food, which is such an integral part of every single day of your life, is impacting your health. It's number one. It's so important. But you're right. It's not the first go-to. And so there needs to be a big shift. And so I do find in Europe, where the plan was originated, things are a little bit different there for sure.
Okay. Is this something that you can run through benefits, or how does it work?
Yeah. So I am registered. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist. So if you have benefits, coverage will typically fall under either nutritional counseling or a health spending account. And again, we're slowly moving in the right direction because here's benefit companies spending astronomical amount of money to pay for your prescriptions. If you get sick, we pay for your prescriptions.
Yeah.
How about the preventative side of health? How about we just work on getting you healthy so we don't have to pay for those prescriptions? And so this is it's a slow process, and the alliances out there, the nutritional health alliances, are working tirelessly with the insurance companies to get them to support holistic whole food, working with nutritionists, getting people healthy, work prevention over prescription. But it is a process, and so not everyone has the coverage. Coverage typically, again, either nutritional counseling or health spending account, but if you have the coverage, then absolutely that's a bonus. Then there is coverage under your benefits. I
would absolutely do this. Absolutely. I believe that doctors, and I've had enough of going to see my doctor and her prescribing me a simple script. I want someone to fix the problem and make it maintainable for me to keep myself in optimum health. And frankly, I'm not getting that from any doctor I've ever spoken to in Ontario. So I like this.
Yeah, this is where we have to advocate for our own health, right?
Yes.
I feel like there was years, we were kind of raised, if there's a problem, go to the doctor, and what the doctor says, that's what you do, and carry on. But we're really learning that there's a turn. And again, I'm not discounting there's so much value and need for going to the doctor. But this is where we really do need to stand up for ourselves and advocate for our own health. And what I love when I work with clients is there's a massive learning curve when we work together. You learn so much about yourself and how to fuel your body optimally and how to feel your best self and how to have a reclaimed quality of life. And that comes from, again, advocating for yourself to achieve that.
How unhealthy was Kat when she came to see you? Was it bad?
No. That's just it. Most people who come to see me, they're barely healthy. Again, I do have people call, they're like, oh my gosh, just got diagnosed with this, that, or the other. But they're barely healthy. They just can't understand why. Kat was I don't know, eating healthy and exercising, but kind of hanging on to this 15 pounds that just seems to be a little bit of, maybe bloating or inflammation. And so we just orchestrated some changes in her body, and it literally just melted away. Angie lost almost, she's at 26 or 27 pounds that just literally melted away. And so she's somebody who was struggling with hormonal balance. I do often work with a lot of women who are perimenopausal or menopausal. And so we need to focus on hormonal shifts and changes for optimal balance so that you feel better. I get very excited when people achieve healthy body weight, but I get way more lit up when they're I've never felt this good in my life.
Love it.
Yeah, Jen's your biggest cheerleader. So I will mention the way to get in touch with you, Jen. And are you open to doing a standalone pod with me at some point?
Yes.
Is that okay? Okay, we'll do that. We'll set that up for sure. And by the way, I want to give people a deal on the program too. So we'll be able to talk more on that as well. If people want to DM me on what that deal is ahead of time, if you're already sold and you're just tell me about the deal, you can go ahead and DM me at Voice of Kat on Instagram, and I'll be happy to reply. But if you want to look more into Jen's new program, this new 12-week transformation program as well, with her 4 pillars of health, learn a little bit more about how it works, you can go to jentherhn.com. And is Instagram a good way to get in touch with you as well, Jen?
Instagram is perfect. Yep. Same thing, jen.the.rhn is my Instagram.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Jen. You're the best. And I've told you what a game changer it's been for me. And Scott can even attest to, because we are together every morning for our radio show. I started eating breakfast, and that's been the biggest game changer, honestly. But it's just one of the many, many things that I found out about myself in doing this that I should have been doing all along.
I'm so glad. It's been great to be a part of your journey. I love it.
I love it too. Jen, thanks a lot. We'll certainly be in touch, and I'll definitely download that standalone episode that you and Kat do, because I'm so fascinated by stuff like this. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Chat soon.
Thanks. Take care.
How's our time, Kat? Do I have time to do the autism story now?
Yeah, I think it's important, so you go ahead and do that story.
I do too. And this one frustrates the heck out of me because this is... Let's just get to it. According to new documents obtained by the Canadian Press, the number of kids with autism enrolled in government-funded core therapy has slowed despite a ballooning wait list of children for autism therapy. The Ontario Autism Program shows a widening gap between the number of kids seeking services and the number receiving funding for those key therapies. That's despite a budget of $720 million. For perspective, $720 million is more than double what we were spending on autism when Kathleen Wynne was premier. So we've doubled the amount of money. But a representative from Autism Ontario Coalition says a key factor behind the current logjam may be an onerous process, which involves families spending up to 4 hours or more with program administrators to assess how much funding a child needs. So let me put this in real simple terms. It's not the money. We've put out the money. We doubled the funding for autism therapy. But because of the process that families have to go through to get eligible for this funding and find the therapies they need, we got a massive logjam. We have people who need therapy. We've got money there, but bureaucracy and red tape is preventing kids from getting these autism therapies that they need.
That just doesn't seem right. That seems like a system that needs some fixing.
How often, this is rare. We don't get this story very often where there's more than enough money, there's tons of demand. It's process that's slowing this down. I believe this falls under the health ministry, early childhood ministry.
Here's the thing with the government, though. Don't you find that their strong suit has never been application, online anything, registering? I feel like they've never been good at it. Am I wrong there?
Government should govern. They should stay out of most other things. In this case, I really do want to see a solution where there is just endless money available for the kids and families who need it, but it's really the private sector that's administering it. Hey, by the way, those behavioral therapists and speech therapists and all the other people that do such amazing work with families that are dealing with autism, they want to get paid. They want money. The more clients they have, the more money they make. They want people being treated, and they want to make a good living. If we've got a logjam of people to even get into the system, we got to fix the kink in the hose. Straighten that out and let the money flow, let the therapy flow, let these kids start recovering, give these parents a little bit of respite. There's so many different reasons that we've got to fix this problem. I don't think I've ever heard of a problem where money's not the issue. It's administration. Fix the problem. And I don't know who's in charge of this. Is it one of the autism companies or therapies? Or
maybe that's one of the problems, is that we can't even decide who should be fixing it.
Well, I don't know. Is it the provincial government that should? Is it the Ministry of Health? I don't know. But I do know that if anybody is thinking, yeah, we got to get to that, you got to get to that now. Those families who need those therapies and those supports need the help now. This should be an all-hands-on-deck, bipartisan effort. I don't care if you get Doug Ford, Bonnie Crombie, Marit Stiles, and Mike Schreiner all in the same room and say, you guys don't come out of here until you fixed whatever this problem is. Do it. We got to get this done, because those families and those kids in particular that need those autism therapies and supports need them. This is a healthcare issue.
Agree.
We shouldn't be skimping on this. And I'm happy to hear we've more than doubled the budget. We need it, because we've probably got more than double the amount of people diagnosed as on the spectrum. So if they need those therapies, let's get it done. Stop screwing around. Whatever the kink in the hose is here that's preventing people from getting the therapy, somebody better fix this like right now.
Well said.
Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you.
Completely.
Want to talk about Trump? No, never mind.
No, we'll be done now.
Have a great day, everybody. We will catch you right back here tomorrow with another episode of After 9.
Residents of several New Jersey towns have reportedly complained that they can smell a foul odor that is reminiscent of cat urine, as opposed to what it usually smells like, human urine.
The new Welcome to Connecticut sign now includes the words Pizza Capital of the U.S. Okay, I see what's happening. Nothing means anything anymore. You can just say whatever you want about your state. Great news, New York is now the home of the 1990 Chicago Bulls. 6-time NBA champions right there, and the birthplace of Gandhi.
McDonald's and Crocs are teaming up to offer a Happy Meal with a miniature Croc keychain. Yeah, it's the first time McDonald's and Crocs have teamed up since they released the McNugget.